A former Bengals coach made a tough decision earlier this week, and in this video, I'll explain if it's finally time for Zac Taylor to follow suit. Hi again, Bengals fans. John Sheeran of A to Z Sports Cincinnati here, and if there's a title for worst NFL head coaching tree, Zac Taylor might already have it. Of course, that tree only has one branch on it, and it belongs to Brian Callahan, who is currently 3-17 as head coach of the Tennessee Titans. And if things don't get turned around quickly for Callahan, he may be out of a job here pretty shortly. But for now, he's going to do something, really the only thing that a head coach can do if he's calling plays and the team is struggling. And that is, of course, to relinquish those play calling duties. Interestingly enough, he's not giving them to his offensive coordinator, but rather his quarterbacks coach, who at least had that responsibility on an interim basis at his previous gig. But 20 games, Brian Callahan lasted as a play caller for his own team, only for him to return to a similar role that he had under Zac Taylor as offensive coordinator for the Bengals when he didn't call plays. Obviously, being the head coach means you have more responsibilities regardless, but anyways, offensive background, leading the offense, but doesn't actually have the final say now in terms of calling plays. And this is a topic that I know for a fact many of you have been screaming from your rooftops for at least the last 4 years. Even in the days when Callahan was the offensive coordinator for Taylor, many of you have been asking, will Zac Taylor ever give up play calling duties? And maybe it's a coincidence that this Callahan news just popped up at this time, but I really do think that the clock is now starting to tick with that. Now, I don't have any inside information here. I don't know what the status is between Taylor's relationship with the front office and how much trust that they have with him, how long his leash is, if you will. I know he's under contract for the next 2 years, and I know this team hates paying coaches when they're not employed by them. So I'm not willing to say that his job security is in danger. However, I do think that right now is an extremely important time for Taylor to really prove his worth, not only as a head coach, but as a play caller. And I say this because I'm thinking back to the last time that Jake Browning took over for Joe Burrow. We all remember that he laid an absolute egg in his first ever start against the Pittsburgh Steelers, a game in which the offense only scored 10 points. And it took Taylor and Callahan and Dan Pitcher and the entire brain trust of that offense to really work around Jake Browning's skill set and his weaknesses and his strengths to put together an offense that actually fit what he did well. And then over the next few weeks, you saw the offense actually produce explosive plays and put some points on the board. And it's still not out of the equation that we could be experiencing the same timeline here today. Browning first appears in the middle of the game when Burrow gets hurt. He lays an absolute egg in his first start, and now we're here. And the thing is, the personnel around Browning is significantly better now than it was 2 years ago. Or at least it should be. You have more established pass catchers. You have an offensive line that should theoretically be built to pass protect well. And you have a more experienced version of Browning. If you can't put together any sense of consistency with this offensive group, what are you doing? And that's why if there's any pressure in terms of Taylor giving up play calling duties, I would start that clock right now. Because if he can't figure out the adjustments about how to call a game to make Browning look like an actual NFL quarterback, what are we waiting around for anymore? At what point does it not hurt to change up the process? The greatest asterisk in Taylor's resume is that he's been propped up by an elite quarterback in Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow's not walking through that door. He may scoot through that door right now, but he's certainly not walking through it. It's up to Taylor right now to tailor, if you will, an offense around a quarterback who's not as talented. There's just too many pieces on this offense for them to look like a complete incompetent mess. So I'm not saying that right now Taylor needs to follow the footsteps of his protege, but if things don't change really soon, it might be that time.